Hello, this is Andrew Jobling, the accidental author, and really excited to introduce you to Dana. Hello, Dana. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. This is a bit weird because Dana and I have actually just finished recording a podcast, and I said to her, Dana, could I ask you a favor? And she was very generous and said yes. So she's going to spend about 10 minutes with us just chatting because she's just finished talking. And when you get a chance to listen to this podcast, when it's out there, make sure you listen to it. It's just wonderful. Dana's been through childhood abuse and a narcissistic marriage for 25 years and 45 years, you said, Dana, didn't you? 45 years of pretty much
Of my
abuse
life.
where
Yeah.
you didn't feel
Yeah.
loved or you felt abandoned, you felt
I
discarded, you felt
tried to feel
unworthy.
not much of anything, so I didn't have to feel all those things. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Much different now, though. Things are good now.
Yeah. So that was 45 years of your life, and now
Yes.
you're a few years older than that. And those last 3 years, obviously things have changed significantly. You're remarried and you're
Yes.
happy. But here's the best news is you've now written and published one book,
Yes.
Gasping for Air, and you've got two more on the go, and you've got publishers breathing down your neck.
Yes,
So,
I'm a glutton because I had two more manuscripts and to go along with the book that has been published. One is a prequel, one's a sequel, and I had this crazy idea that I said, how about if I give you one to start evaluating the content, and then when you're done with that, we'll swap. And so now I've got my head and mind in two books at once, which I think is a little ambitious, but we're doing it. It's going along
oh,
just fine.
well, look, I think we said in the podcast, didn't we? The reason you've gone through so much trauma in your life is so you can now inspire and help other
Yeah.
people. And so a couple of questions, because we're now talking to authors, people that are they're
Yes.
writing their book, maybe they're trying to get published, they've got a book, they're trying to get out there, they're trying to be successful. First question, what was it about the writing process that's really helped you in your healing journey?
I think honestly, the questions when I would get back my manuscript evaluations from the publisher, I laugh because it was like, it was better than therapy because, she'd say, like, in this chapter, you talked about this, but, more specifically. So she would ask, like, me to go deeper in certain things that I was just touching the surface of, because this is a first time for me. I didn't know what I was doing. So I just kind of wrote it, put it out there for her to evaluate. But having those questions coming back and so many of them, and I would have Zoom calls with her and she'd say, yeah, what about this person? And what did you think when they did this? And just simple things, but it
Yeah.
was literally like therapy because I had to, for me to verbalize it and put it into words for a reader to understand, and see everything and feel everything and just to be there, like in my body as they're reading it and in my mind. I really had to be very clear about what I did feel and what was
Yeah.
going on around me. So it really forced me to, to say dive deep is an understatement, but it was very helpful because it helped me to understand my situation, and all kinds of different circumstances I had been in so much more. Even earlier today, I came to a realization, with things that were happening when I was 15 and 16 years old, 30 some years ago. And I thought, I always thought there was a connection there with this other issue, but I never really connected it. And I talked to my publisher this morning and I'm like, oh, the light bulb went off. So it is a very healing thing because I think the first part of healing is understanding,
Yeah.
because once you can understand something, you can accept it. And that's when you come to peace with it.
Yeah. I love the whole idea of deep diving, and because there's twofold benefit. Number one is you've just said the healing power of really getting deep into it and understanding it. But the second part is for the reader. I think, and I
Yes.
say this all the time, and people watching this will know that I say this all the time, you've got to get into your story. You've got to deep dive. People they connect with feelings and emotions, not just
Yes.
not just the outline of a story, not just facts and, these are the things that happened in my life. Okay, yeah, how did you feel about that? What did you do? What did you say? What was the response?
Right.
Because that's what people connect with. So I think that's a really powerful and important point for everyone that's writing a book right now to go, okay, how deep have I gone? Have I really dug into those feelings, those emotions, the responses? Because that's what I think readers are going to get the most out of.
Exactly. And it's helpful. I mean, these content, the editing process for the content's great because at least my publisher, she's phenomenal. She's very direct like I am. So I relate to that. I don't get hurt feelings. I don't get sensitive. But basically anybody who hasn't gotten to that point yet, if you're just working on your manuscript, when they come back, it's not to tear apart your manuscript. It's just to basically give you the notes back to say, as somebody who would be reading this, these are the things the questions they would have that you did not address, that we need to clarify this, or maybe that's not relevant, all these different things. So it really is good to have just somebody bouncing back ideas with, and Lord knows this woman, God love her, because she now has read 3 of one's published, but the other 2, she knows my life.
She knows better
me
than
probably
most people.
Better.
Yeah.
She has read thousands of pages that have never even been published and never will be. So, yes, this woman and I, she could probably answer anything for me better than my husband or my child or anybody else in my life. She knows this girl inside and out.
Yeah. Okay. So Dana, just fast forwarding to now.
Sure.
You published your first book, Gasping Free. How long has that been published for?
That came out June 4th. So it's been
okay. So it's
4
coming
months,
up towards
almost 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months now. So tell us what's changed for you since you've been a published author.
Oh, it's been amazing. I honestly, I went into it knowing that realistically, you're lucky if the average book sells about 250 copies. And, being that I'm sort of the outcast and shunned from family and different circles I've been in, I don't even have family that I could say could buy 100 copies, So I was really shocked. We've sold almost 2,000 copies worldwide. And
wow.
I've had, book signings, and the last one I did a few weeks ago, there were people that came that had already read the book, and people that said, oh, I've seen that on, Facebook, or and I'm like a D-list celebrity around here. Like, I go to the bank and people are like, oh, look, a famous author. And I don't like the attention so much. I'm more of an introvert.
You'll get used to it.
I just hide in my house. No, but it's nice that what I guess I'm saying with all this is that I never, especially considering my past, which you and I just had an extensive conversation about on another podcast, I was never in a million years thinking that anybody would have any interest in anything that I would say, write, do, nothing.
Yep.
But my story has resonated with so many people.
Of course.
And I love getting the messages or the emails that because of I'll never forget the first one. Because of your book, I had the strength to end a 9-year toxic, abusive relationship. And I looked at my husband and I said, what did I say when I set out on this mission? And he said, all you wanted to do was save one person. You said then your work would be done. But I'm saving everyone else now too. I'm not just taking one.
You are, of course you are. So Dana, what advice do you give to aspiring authors? No matter where they're at in the process, what do you say to them? What encouragement?
I think honestly, just keep going. No matter what genre you're writing, no matter what level of writing experience or publishing experience you have, keep writing. Don't get discouraged, because even it took me about 3 years, I think, from the time I started writing my manuscript to the time it was published. And there were a few times that I honestly was just going to stop and just why bother? And I just don't, it does become grueling.
Yeah.
You get to the point where you're like, am I ever going to have a manuscript that is, saleable and marketable, publishable? Because at least for me, I wanted it to be write.
Yep.
Yet if I had the manuscript in front of me right now, I can tell you right now it would be published, differently than how it was, because I don't think I would ever stop revising it
Of course.
if given the option. But I just say, keep going. And I tell people all the time that approach me and say, oh, I've always thought about writing a book or writing at all. I say, just write. You don't have to have a degree in writing. You don't have to have a master's in literature. Write your words. Be you, because you will relate and connect to somebody in a way that I can't, and that you can't, and that, famous authors cannot. But I think it's important. That's what editors are for. That's what, copy editing does. All that stuff is put in place. You don't have to know where commas and quotation marks and things go. Just write, though. Get the ideas on paper or in your computer in Microsoft Word, Times New Roman, number 12, in case you don't know. But just write, just get the words out. That's all that you need to do. And don't try to overdo it with a thesaurus and trying to sound big. Just be normal.
Be you.
Simple, be you. Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. That's a beautiful message. Dana, thank you. Thank you for doing this little bonus session.
Oh, I love it.
We've done a podcast. We've now done a video cast. You're impacting lives. Okay, just so you know, what we've done together is going to change lots of lives. So thank you for that. If people want to buy a book, how do they do it? Reach out to you. How do they do it?
DanaSDiaz.com. Yep, DanaSDiaz.com. Website has all my contact info, link for the book. Everything's on there. Or if you like Amazon, go to Amazon. It's on there too.
Awesome. And good luck with your book and your book 2 and book 3. Looking forward to finding out more about those, and keep up the great work.
Wonderful. Thank you.